Shalom, or praise the Habashim Yahshua, the blind positive GMS. This is Amna wa Allah connection of the video. In this video, I'll be dealing with vein scanning. This vein scanning is a biometrics. It's a form of biometrics. But let's read about that. Let's read about what biometrics is before we go into the whole vein scanning thing. So this is from CSOonline.com. It says, what is biometrics? 10 physical and behavioral identifiers that can be used for authentication. Biometrics has the potential to make authentication dramatically faster, easier, and more secure than traditional passwords, but companies need to be careful about the biometric data they collect. Biometric definition. Biometrics are physical or behavioral human characteristics that can be used digitally. Biometrics are physical or behavioral human characteristics that can be used to digitally identify a person to grant access to systems, devices, or data. I don't think the word "to that" was supposed to be there. I think it's supposed to say biometrics are physical or behavioral human characteristics that can be used to digitally identify a person to grant access to systems, devices, or data. Examples of these biometric identifiers are fingerprints, facial patterns, voice or typing cadence. Each of these identifiers is considered unique to the individual, and they may be used in combination to ensure greater accuracy of identification. So now we know what biometrics is. A little bit more says, because biometrics can provide a reasonable level of confidence in authenticating a person with less friction for the user, has the potential to dramatically improve enterprise security. Computers and devices can unlock automatically when they detect the fingerprints of an approved user. Server room doors can swing open when they recognize the faces of trusted system administrators. Help desk systems might automatically pull up all relevant information when they recognize an employee's voice on the support line. So basically what biometrics is a physical, behavioral, human characteristics that can be used to digitally identify a person to grant access to systems. Okay? And if you see that it mentions it can authenticate a person. Let's go. So let's continue. This website, it says, what is techtarget.com? It says palm vein recognition. Palm vein recognition is a biometric authentication method based on the unique patterns of veins in the palms of people's hands. Palm vein recognition systems, like many other biometric technologies, capture an image of a target, acquire and process image data, and compare it to a stored record for that individual. Palm vein recognition, well, it said the same thing here. So that's what palm vein recognition is. It's recognizing the person by the palms, by the veins by the unique patterns of veins in people's hands. As you can clearly see, that's a precursor to the rfid microchip. Look at what it is. It's called it gradualism. When you do something gradually, you spoon feed something to somebody. All right. First you had tokens, and then in 1982, I believe it was, they came out with metro cards. Somebody that drove past playing Fire and Desire by Rick James. That's random. But anyway, first you had tokens. Then about 1982 in New York City, you had the metro cards. Then from metro cards, then the metro cards. It's like you had cash, and then you have credit cards and debit cards. As you can see, as time goes on, things get further away from the physical, more into digital. Okay? So they're priming you, they're getting you ready for it, for the RFID chip. This is how palm vein scanning matching works. Palm vein scanning systems, like those for finger vein ID, uses technology based on the use of near-infrared rays and the way hemoglobin in the vein reacts to them. The blood's hemoglobin is oxygenated in the lungs and the arteries, then carry the oxygenated blood. The blood's hemoglobin is oxygenated in the lungs, and the arteries then carry the oxygenated blood to deliver oxygen to tissues throughout the body. The veins carry deoxygenated blood back to the heart. A palm scan illuminates the palm with the near-infrared light, which is absorbed by the deoxidized hemoglobin flowing through the veins. The oxygenated hemoglobin absorbs more light reducing the ability of the veins to reflect the light back and causing them to appear as a black pattern that is captured as an image for the system's camera. The raw data for that image is then processed and compared to a stored record for the individual in question. So basically what this palm skin does is it illuminates the palm with a near infrared light, and the hemoglobin flowing through the veins absorbs that light. And it'll make the veins appear black in appearance. And that information is stored as a record for that particular individual. Example. Here's an example on Google Images. Company from Tech E-Blog. It says company unveils device that lets you pay by swiping your hand. See that? See how the veins look illuminated in this particular image here? It's priming people to get ready for the chip. That's obvious. Company unveils device that lets you pay by swiping your hand. Uses vein scan. This is from April 18, 2014. In the future, stores and possibly even ATM machines will go the way of vein scanning rather than stick with traditional credit cards. Currently, there are more than 1,000 Swedish shoppers who've signed up to make payments with a simple swipe of their hand, using technology that reads the patterns of their veins. The company hopes that hand scanning will become an alternative payment method if it is a success during trials in the city of Lund in southern Sweden. To sign up, users have to visit terminal-equipped establishment where they scan their palm 3 times and enter their social security and telephone numbers. Next, a text message is then sent to their mobile phone with an activation link to a website, with payments taken directly from customers' bank accounts twice a month. Continue reading for a video more information. Well, there you go. You can't click on the video right here, obviously. The video must have been taken down. This is from 2014. Researcher Frederick Lifeland adds, every individual's vein pattern is completely unique, so there is no way of committing fraud with this system. You always need your hand scan for a payment to go through. We had to connect all the players ourselves, which was quite complex. The vein scanning terminals, the banks, the stores, and the customers. So they're trying to make it appear as though it's something that's convenient. So you don't worry about nobody stealing anything from you. Okay? Psalms 10 and 8. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages. That's talking about Esau, the so-called white man. It's saying if he sits in the lurking places of the villages. A place where you lurk is a place where you creep, a place where you hide. So he sits in lurking places of the villages. A place in the village where someone would lurk or spy on someone, creep behind someone. In the secret places doeth he murder the innocent. The innocent is talking about the children of Israel, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. His eyes are privately set against the poor. So his eyes are against the poor. The poor is talking about children of Israel. We're the innocent because the Lord died for our sins. So we're free of guilt, beginning with the elect. And we're the poor because we're poor in the world, yet rich in faith. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. So that's what he's doing. He's lying in wait secretly as a lion in his den. A lion waits secretly before it pounces upon his prey. It lies in secret so that its prey can't see it. If its prey can't see it, then that means the prey doesn't know the lion's true intentions. That's what he's doing now. People don't know the true intentions. Why? They don't know the true intentions because they think that it's something that's just done to make things more convenient for you. It's really something that's being done to track you. So it says he lieth in wait to catch the poor. Which is from Israel. He doeth catch the poor when he draweth them into his net. He catcheth the poor when he draws the poor into his net. I mean, he catches the poor when he draws the poor into his trap. You know? And you're going to have a lot about people that's going to get caught up in this vein scanning thing. Let's see if I got anything else here. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 12, verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. So you're never supposed to trust your enemy. Why? Because that's your enemy. Why would you trust your enemy? So it says, never trust thy enemy, for as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. And iron is sure to rust. What happens is when iron comes in contact with oxygen and with moisture, what happens is it causes oxidation, which causes what's called iron oxide, which is rust. It's like a reddish type of color. And what happens is it spreads throughout the iron and it threatens the overall integrity, the physical integrity of the iron, meaning it affects the quality of the iron. So the rusting of iron is a sure thing because that's just a part of a chemical process. That the iron is going to come in contact with oxygen, it's going to come in contact with moisture, which is going to cause the rust of it. And that is a sure thing that's going to occur. So it's a sure thing that iron is going to rust. It's a sure thing that you never trust your enemy. Because just as iron will rust, so will your enemy's wickedness. I mean, just as just as rust will appear on iron, just as your enemy's wickedness will appear as well. So you're never supposed to trust them. So with that, I'm gonna close. I hope you learned something. I'm gonna say, "Oh, praise to Yahweh Shah, the bounty of positive GMS, Shalom."